Today, I'm going to be going over Claude Cowork, why it's actually a game changer for small business owners, and I'm super excited about it, and the basics, sort of 101 on how I would set up Cowork and some terminology and usage information so that way it doesn't suck so bad when you first start, like it did for me. So I'm going to go over a few things in this video. The next video, I'm actually going to go through how to set up what I'm calling your base kit. So it's all your foundational documents and how to organize them in a way that you can actually keep track of things because Claude likes to create a lot of documents and it can get pretty messy, especially for good old ADHD visionaries. So we're going to take care of that next time. But this time, be prepared. Feel free to 2x speed. I'm going to go over the basics. So, you probably heard of Anthropic. It's an LLM just like ChatGPT, other companies. Theirs is called Claude. And one of the game changers that everyone was talking about beforehand was called Claude Code. Claude Code is where people vibe code, if you've heard that before, but people that don't totally know what they're doing and really screw stuff up. So Claude Code has terminal access and you can really do some damage. Now, don't get me wrong, feel free to play around with it, but go at your own risk. The reason why Cowork is such a game changer is because it's not chat, which you guys are used to, ChatGPT, Gemini, like the chat thought partner side of it. Code is vibe coding, and Cowork is right in the middle. So it's as if they took code and made it have guardrails. So you can't mess it up too bad. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still mess it up, and that's why I'm going to be giving you some tips so you don't screw things up. But the game changer is that Cowork can actually create agents for you in ways where you don't have to be an amazing prompt engineer or super techie in order to do it. Game changer. Okay. So, first, what I'm going to do is walk you through a couple of the pieces of terminology. So, this, first of all, is Claude Desktop. There is no Cowork when you log in on your iPad or on a web browser. Cowork only works on the desktop app. They do have it for Windows now too. This is my little Mac Mini. So I have my regular laptop and then I have a Mac Mini that's just for Cowork. I'm calling her Mini as my first AI employee. And we'll detail exactly what I'm having her do later. But because it only runs on desktop, I wanted, of course, to have a small machine that could continually run this. I also run it on my laptop at the same time, so I can feel like I can double dip. Now, some of the things that I want to tell you there. We're going to go into settings and walk you through a few things first. So, what a surprise. Regular settings that you guys are used to. Oh, and one other quick thing. They have dyslexic friendly text. How cool is that? I have this set up on my web browser. But let's go into privacy because one of the main things I want you to do as soon as you get it is make sure that it doesn't have any location metadata or help improve Claude. Same thing if you're using any other LLM, I always turn that off because I don't want them sending all of my stuff to help train the AI models. The next piece is usage. So I did not realize what usage meant at the beginning. So I got super excited, started doing a ton of stuff, ran out of usage. I was on the pro plan, which is about $20 a month, and it's awesome, but it does not have a lot of usage. The cool thing about usage, though, is that after a certain amount of time, it resets. So right now, I have now the Max 2 plan. It's about $200. There's a regular Max plan that's $100 as well, which has, of course, a lot more usage and resets a lot easier too. So right now, this resets, I'm barely at any usage. But even if you have Pro, you don't have to go all the way up to $100 a month. You can just turn on extra usage. So it costs money. So at first I was paying $5 a chunk and then realized I was doing way too much. And so I definitely upgraded. But the interesting thing with usage, because everyone's like, what is usage? It depends. It's like long conversations, right? If you're using chat, it could be really big uploads. So huge documents. I know my client sheets are like 400 pages long because people are with me for years. And that took up so much usage. And I had no idea when I was trying to work around some of that stuff. Co-work sessions also use a lot more than regular chat. Think of them as like 2 to 3 hour working blocks. And we're going to talk about how to set them up properly because you can also run out of all sorts of fun stuff while you're in the middle of things. And I have lost a lot of things because it just got stuck. So still, cowork is still in, I think they call it research mode. So just be prepared. So capabilities. The cool thing is that even if you're currently using ChatGPT as like your main thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I literally just canceled my team ChatGPT account because I just love this so much more. It was just working 1,000 times better, even than all my GPTs and setup that I had before. That being said, it was kind of a pain to switch everything over. And what they've done now is actually allow you to import memory from other AI providers. So if you do use Gemini all the time, you can actually import so you don't have to start from scratch on that again. The other cool things is that you can connect directly. Now, I think ChatGPT still has this. Beforehand, we had to use like Zapier or N8N or some other sort of connector, but now it's right here. Now I'm going to have you ignore Claude Code. You don't need to do anything with Cowork at the moment either. And otherwise, I think we're all set. Okay. The thing that I want you to look at. So this is our chat. Jamie returns. Yay, I'm glad somebody's excited. One of the things that I'm going to show you now is we're going to go into Basekit. So this is just a project. So you can see in here, it's a project that I starred just so it could pop up a lot. This is what I'm going to be working in, especially for video 2. But right now we're in chat. So this is just chat. I gave it a couple instructions and I'll go over this stuff in a little bit. But what I'm going to have it do, so I ended up grabbing a quick prompt because what I want you to see is how you can take something from chat and then take it into Cowork for a Cowork session. So this is just a very simple prompt that's like, hey, I run a coaching business. I want to take an inventory of the types of documents. Now I have tons of documents, especially from Eventual Millionaire and the podcast that I had. So what I'm going to do is just give it a gist like, okay, give me the gist of what I think a business like mine would have marketing content, that kind of thing. This is one of the models that they have. Now, we leave this for chat, but I'll go over the other models in Cowork in just a second. We're going to go over this in just a second, but what a surprise. You've seen this kind of stuff before. Internal templates, policies, client facing. So you may or may not have some of this stuff. That's totally okay. Most companies barely have all of this stuff. I talk about systems constantly. And so, yeah, there's a lot that we don't have documentation with, or it's old or whatever. And that's the exact same reason why I wanted to walk you through this right now. So, one of the things that I ended up doing, let's make this a little smaller, was making an eventual millionaire folder that has a bunch of old stuff that I haven't really looked through too much lately. And I'm going to show you how, when we go into our project, we can start a task in Cowork. Now, you can create a Cowork task without it being in a project, but the thing is that it doesn't have a lot of context. And so if it doesn't need context, that's fine. But if you need any reference, if it's pulling through any markdown files or any files that it's referencing or any memory or history, you're going to want to make sure you pull it from the project. Now, are we sure we want to create the new task with context? Yes, we do. Okay. So one of the things that I want to show you, and I always like to say trust but verify, right? Which is not, Reagan didn't make that up, by the way. It was a old Russian proverb. But because I was an engineer and in tech for so long, I have a degree in IT. I learned a lot of, let's call it, being careful because you could screw things up, especially when you're working on live machines. So we're going to talk through exactly that as well. So I personally, now that we're in Cowork, you can actually see what you can do in Cowork. What I want you to see here is that you can pick a folder. And when you do give it access to a folder, let's say like I was just giving it access to Eventual Millionaire, it will be able to change things in this folder. So it asks you if you're sure. Now, if this is a live folder and something's really important, don't pick it, please. This is a copy. So that way, in case this research version of Cowork doesn't totally work, you got a backup. So for this, we can totally allow. And you can also either add files or folders. That's not surprising. We can change which project we want to do. We can, of course, have connectors, which you should definitely have connectors if that's something that you want to be having any agents connecting to anything. It can literally put a whole project into Asana if you give access. It can take stuff from your Canva and update it. It is very impressive. I have Fireflies for all my call recording, and it can connect so that it pulls down my coaching call transcripts, creates the action items based on the instructions that I gave it, and can either email it to me or I have it going into a folder so I can check it out and then email it to clients. And it even writes the email. So we are in the future now, thank goodness. But the biggest game changer are called plugins. Now, that does not sound like a game changer. That sounds quite boring. But I can promise you it's not. So, plugins, I want you to think of it like job roles. So, imagine these are the sort of business categories, right? Marketing, finance. But a marketing person has skill sets. Now, skill sets are different. Skill sets are different pieces in Cowork that you can pull that are already pre-trained. So like a skill set and a person, right? So let's say your marketing person really is good at campaign planning. Well, so is this plugin. Okay. So I won't get into too much yet. The second video is going to go over all of this and how to actually create those foundational context docs that we're going to need, that any business actually needs. And no offense, most businesses that I've worked with, and I work with hundreds of them, don't even know where half their stuff is. They don't even have the baseline stuff. They might have like company guidelines or values or something like that. But let's say their brand voice is non-existent. So what we're going to do next time is round out some of this stuff. But this time it has the big old list of all the things that we want. And what I'm going to have it do, so because I don't really care about this folder because it's all copied, we're going to use this folder first. So go through this folder and tell me what is old and outdated and what is useful still. So help me understand what docs I have for my business and what I still need to find or create. Okay, let's see. Now, while that's going, you can actually see in this, these are old. Like some of these are super old. I was just finding random things, right? So some of these are Google Docs, branding assets, some example SOPs. So nothing that's anything crazy. So let's see what it says. Okay, do you see this? This means that I started using a lot of usage. So since it's going through and opening and checking every file that's in it, it's like, okay, I need to make sure that we're compressing what we're working on so that way it doesn't run out of space, right? So it can actually continue to perform. And this is one of the reasons why next time I'll be going through and showing you how to prep for that so that we can do new co-work sessions for each one. I thought I could just go for a very, very long time with cowork. And what ended up happening, so please be proactive and don't be me, this would come up constantly. So when you'd use it for a couple hours, as you see right here, I only used it for a couple minutes, but it's a ton of information. And so this kept coming up, and I'd just wait, and I'd come up again, and I'd wait, and it made everything super slow. The reason why is these co-work sessions, I want you to think of them like 2 or 3 hour sessions. Like imagine it being you and you're doing hardcore deep work, right? You can only handle so many hours of deep work before your eyes kind of glaze over. That's kind of what it's like. A couple other quick tips that I highly recommend is ask how long some of this will take. One of the other problems is when you go, yeah, that's great, do this. Or if you don't actually break it down almost project management style, which don't get me wrong, they have a plugin for project management as well. But if you don't start breaking it down, it'll start doing these huge tasks. And the problem with that is that you'll hit enter and then it will potentially go for hours and you have no idea. The cool thing is that when it does do something, it'll pop up something over here, which I'll show you as soon as it does. Let's see. Mhm. There we go. So you can see what it's actually doing. It's making progress. Yay. That's as far as we got so far, apparently. It's pulling out the instructions. It's going through all of the documents, and that's why the context is running out. Okay, now we're creating a comprehensive audit. Okay. Yay. All right, so we've got 20 outdated SOPs, which makes sense that reference old tools. Let's take a look at the audit report. The cool thing is they make them pretty nowadays. It's 19 pages. Oh my goodness. So I probably didn't need that crazy of a document personally. And actually, it looks less pretty when we're looking here. But yay, we can see what's current. We can see what's useful or outdated. Look at all those outdated pieces. Needs update. So this could literally be a whole audit of a ton of your documents that we don't have. So I technically do have a client onboarding. I have a lot of these things. They weren't in that folder, but that's the other piece, making sure that we have either pieces or the wonderful part that I'm going to show you next time is that this will help you create them. Okay, I want to show you one other thing before we stop for this video. So we made it go through all this and it was great, right? So now what I want to do is, oops, let's actually start a new coworks just so we don't have to. I want it to be under the SOPs. I'm going to allow it to touch whatever it needs to. Okay, now that we've got example SOPs, let's say go through this folder and organize it based on categories. Before you move anything, please make sure to keep a backup copy. I call it cover your butt. Then we trust, then we verify, right? And tell me what you are going to do before. Okay. Like I was saying before, this is Opus. So this is one of the models. I like using it because I have the max plan, but you can definitely switch out if you need to. So as you can see, this looks pretty great. So if we were to just look at the categories. It's got the backup. SOPs for podcasting. They renamed them so they're nice and easy. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right. Now, do you remember how messy that folder was before? It's a mess. Okay. On to number two, creating category folders, copying and renaming files. Now, one quick story. One of the main tasks that it has you as like a default when you first start in Cowork is it says it can organize your screenshots, which is awesome. It will actually rename your screenshots based on what is in the image, which is amazing. And it will categorize them and put them into folders just like this. The problem that can potentially pop up, I was watching a YouTube video and someone was like, so Claude Cowork said, oops, I think I deleted all your screenshots. And he said something like, okay, can you check? Like, can you get them back and recover them? And it was like, no, I'm so sorry, I can't. Which, again, research mode, like anything in somewhat beta, cover your ass first. But he went in and actually checked, and the screenshots were actually all there, renamed in perfect categories. So thankfully, it was wrong in the best way, but it could be wrong in the worst way. So it could say that it's fine, and then it could have deleted everything. Right. So this is why we want to cover. See, like delete, permanently delete files. Well, you know what? I don't always trust. Okay, let's see. Ooh, nice. So it created all these. Awesome. And thankfully, it has the backup exactly as it is. So you know what? Yes, I'm going to say yes. Go ahead. Cross your fingers. I think that works very well with tech. Again, I have a degree in computers and I used to fix things for a living, and it totally works. So all done. Okay, perfect. So these are the files organized into categories, and we have the backup. All right, let's check. So I only had given access to this one, which is great. It organized everything quite wonderfully, actually. Renamed all of these. So our originals have the crappy names, right? But these ones, yay. Okay. So it can actually reorganize everything. Just be careful, as always. But it would save us so much time renaming things, organizing things. Like I said, you can put stuff in Asana. Stay tuned because I have so much more. I'm going to be not only showing you how to connect things and create like what I'm calling your base kit, which will include the company foundation documents like brand voice or brand guidelines if you have any, along with ideal client persona, avatar, you can call it whatever you want. But these basic things that every business needs, and 9 times out of 10 they don't have. We're going to go over, I think, between 7 and 10, and I'm going to walk you through how to create them super easily and well, like accurately via Claude Cowork. After that, I'm going to actually help you create a knowledge base. So one of the things that's absolutely amazing with this is that it can create a database for you and to have a real knowledge base of. For me, I already did a coaching one, so it has all of the way I coach, even what I call soapboxes, which you probably heard me say, which is just me ranting. And it would pull out those segments of all the transcripts. And so now I can see them at a glance. It's amazing for content creation. But even if you're not a content creator, you can create a knowledge base for all of your company SOPs, processes, and documentation, like employee handbook. So that way we can actually have a chatbot that actually answers correctly. Now, again, this is a week for internal only, but it will be able to segment and parse different pieces of your SOPs and processes. So all of this is going to be easier. Anyway, I'll wrap this up. I know it's going long, but let me know if you have questions as always. And I hope you had fun. Can't wait till what happens next time. Take care.